Caesar est magna. Caesar est magna. Oh! Do come in.
I'm quite sorry.
It's quite alright, actually.
Oh. Just passing through.
Stop right there, young man. Would you like to be my general?
I'd be honored.
Very well. See you in battle. Hop in.
Well, if you insist. So how do I could
Just
slide in right here. It's okay. Just have it. Hey, look like a couple of Greeks here.
As a child, it was my dream to flip pages. I struggled at it, but day by day, I grew better. Now, I'm stuck as a general in Caesar's army. What a world. Caesar, I don't want to be a general. I want to turn pages. I must leave.
don't leave me.
Must.
No. 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 No.
Well, stop you right there. I don't really do page turner, but page turner kind of does me.
What drives me, man? A lot, you know? Really, we're just thinking about making art here. It's just that passion, you know, when you're making something beautiful.
The page turner really is portrayed more as an artistic, fun-loving character, whereas the professor is this harsh, misogynistic character that really can't embrace the world outside.
I'd say that Rain and Charlie really need to be agreed because they act as almost as one in the movie, and they act almost as one outside the movie as well.
A little bit, you know, it's kind of like me and every teacher. You know, it's just a real,
Well, the thing about the page turner is it's got some good, solid plot, humor, fun, and action.
page turner is it's just a form of art, you know, you just have to kind of let loose and express yourself when you're on set.
The deep soul of it. It's solely written by me, solely produced by you, solely acted by Charlie, and together there's just so much soul.
I mean, it really just gets me in the zone, to be honest. You know, it's just ecstatic about page turning, you know, it really gets me going.
Absolutely, actually. I think it's really too bad in this world that when you have to sacrifice something so automatic as charm, that you have to give that to get, you know, we'll say rewards, or in this case, a passing grade.
I wouldn't say so. You know, when we started out, we were just a bunch of kids with a dream, you know. You know, just in the heartland of America, you know, and now it's a lot more. We have a higher budget, but I think it's helped us get out there, reach more of an audience.
I would say they all deserve an Oscar, but the thing about Page Turner Zero is it has a good plot, comedy, and action. The triple threat. The other two are just more an acquired taste to those not ready to experience things that are good.
I would say it's deserved. You know, our film has just taken off recently, you know, and it's just, you know, mostly because of our actors, but yeah.
I would probably say the scenes in the tub. It's actually kind of hard not to feel something while we're filming that on set, but as AJ Mooney once said, you have to either attack or seduce. In those scenes, we really embraced the latter.
Oh man, there were some tough ones. You know, that scene where the page turner is leaving Caesar, that one took about 300 takes. You know, it was both of us tearing up the whole time, because you have to get into it.
Well, if you're not ready to embrace that sort of content, then just don't go see it, you know? Have a little self-control. Look away if you can't handle it.
I would say that the people just don't understand acting. You know, in acting, you have to be seductive. And there's a lot of ways you can do that, right? And you can kind of tie it in a lot of ways, you know. Obviously not like that, not what I meant. You know what I mean. Yeah. I really have nothing more to say on that, you know.
Yeah, well, it was actually kind of a tough choice for Lil Turner. It was either him or this other kid who could actually act. But we went with Henry because, well, he just kind of brought some more heart than the other kid.
I thought it was a great breakout for him. You know, he's a young actor, and it's a lot for him to do a show like this, but you know, he made it work for sure.
He doesn't really understand what he's doing. I mean, he was wonderful, don't get me wrong, but we had to drag him in through the contracts, drag him out into the cold to act, and it's just really discouraging sometimes when that happens.
Well, like a young tree, the page turner must grow. And in a seed of a tree, there's the seed, then there's a hard outer shell which gives life to it. You plant that seed in the ground, the hard outer shell protects it. Our production manager was kind of like that. She protected us from a lot of the weather, but she was kind of rough and coarse, and she was going to restrict us from the full blossoming.
You know, she was great, and I don't get the hate from a lot of people about her, but she just didn't give us the quality we were looking for. You know, I think I could see a trilogy in the future. Definitely a lot of ways it could go. For now, 2 is good though. We're very happy with the sequel.
Well, the thing about Page Turner is it speaks directly to the audience. Every vivid flash, a lot of flashing, some imagery that suggestive, but I kind of like it. And the real bond of something you could say is more than friendship.
Well, when you create a piece of art, so like Page Turner, the original bathtub scene, it was already controversial. And I feel like the controversy just doesn't outweigh the real depth and the real meaning of those scenes. You know, you can't have the bonding of the professor and the Page Turner without those scenes. You can't have the bonding of Caesar and Page Turner. It really sets up this relationship that is either it pulls together and it pulls through everything, or in the case of Caesar, it's just broken into pieces and wrenches the heart out of the audience. So you really just can't remove those scenes. I really feel, first of all, the first thing that I can definitely bring is the production quality. The heart of Page Turner is obviously, it's so full. There's nothing lacking there. But just the equipment, the questionable editing skills of the previous director and producer, I really just wanted to strangle them when I saw Page Turner because I saw its potential. And now being able to edit and produce all of this raw emotional footage and even point out and suggest things to the actors was just a phenomenal experience. So I'm very excited for this prequel. It just shows so much emotion and really the backstory of what Page Turner is. I've got to thank the cold because, oh my lord, it was so cold out that they just locked in and got the scenes done because they didn't want to come back outside. Except in the case of Henry, we were going to shoot the scene with him hoeing at the ground in agony, and he ran off into a warm room. and we had to shoot it with the page turner grown up, so the shot worked, but that was quite something. The other two actors, though, who play the professor and Caesar, and then Page Turner himself, there's just so much there. It's like you take two talents that are amazing on their own and then complementary, and it's almost like you don't have to do anything. It's like you take the bee and the flower and then you just watch the fruit grow. I would have to say that Page Turner is most like a pomegranate, because, you see it, it's beautiful on the outside, and then you peel away the skin, and there's just these layers and layers full of bursting fruit and seeds that could grow whole other pomegranate trees. And just the beauty of it, and the red of the juice is like blood, it's like a sunrise, it's just so full of meaning. When it comes to the other actors, I'd say that Rain and Charlie really need to be agreed, because they act almost as one in the movie, and they act almost as one outside the movie as well. They would just have to be agreed if we were going to make Page Turner 3. And I feel like that would be such a milestone, not only in my career, in their career, but in the film industry. And I feel like the world is really just waiting to see what we can bring next. I was shocked to learn what happened to Henry, and it really shook me on a deep level. I've never had someone in my cast just die. It's just so hard to take. Someone so young with such a robust career in front of them. Wimpicitis is such a terrible thing to die of.
Well, not every kid in the current day is going to be diagnosed with terminal wimpicitis.
It's traumatic, really, for everyone, because now we're not gonna have a trilogy with him potentially, but his diagnosis, all things considered, really got the scenes that he was in moving. He really brought that energy to the scenes because of that diagnosis. So.
Well, the thing about the Page Turner is it's got some good, solid plot, humor, fun, and action.
So stupid. Solely.
You take the bee and the flower and then you just watch the fruit grow.
It's so good. That's so good.
You take the bee and the you take the bee and the flower and you just watch the fruit grow before your eyes. And
What fruit would you say the Page Turner is? Not the character in the movie.
And they act almost as one outside the movie as well. I've never had someone in my cast just die.